jail. And Lucy's tight box comes in first. Lucy does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse, she does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse, Lucy does Dabbleverse. Lucy tight box brings the facts, and she breaks them down for us. Lucy does Dabbleverse. La la la, Lucy has a tight box and she shares it with dabblers. No, not like that, but she does this show for us. Lucy does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse, Lucy does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse, Lucy does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse. Lucy does dabble, Lucy does Dabbleverse, 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 yes she does, yes she do it, yeah, Lucy does Dabbleverse, yes she does, Lucy does Dabbleverse. Lucy does Dabbleverse, she does. Lucy does Dabbleverse, she does. Lucy does Dabbleverse.
100.
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Lucy Does Dabbleverse. I am joined by my wonderful, wonderful guest host tonight, Blind Mike Geary from the Blind Mike Project and Who Are These Socials? And tonight we are going to be talking about location, 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 because the LOLsuit filed by Stuttering John Melendez against Karl and Shuli relating to right of publicity has officially been moved from New York County Supreme Court all the way up north to Monroe County, where Rochester is located. Mike,
very exciting.
So excited. It's
Very
exciting.
And I know the wheels of justice move slowly, but doesn't this feel like it's taking forever? It's been like 6 months since we heard about this lawsuit, or maybe longer, 7-8 months.
I'll tell you what, not, oh my God, I don't know how time works. So it was filed in August, and I have no idea how long ago that was.
Like 5 months-ish.
Yeah. So it's been less than that. But
right.
I will say that the number one thing that is going to happen because of this venue change is that the wheels of justice are going to spin much, much more rapidly. And we are going to get into exactly why that is. It is a very exciting time. I think that this is a huge, huge win for Karl and Shuli. I think that it is going to be a really wonderful, exciting thing. And again, this means I think we're going to have to wait a little bit less time to be able to get information about what's going to happen with this whole shim sham of a lawsuit.
Now, is there any way your bias could be clouding here? Because I hear John talk about a lot of things, and most of them are what a whore you are. But once he's done talking about that, he says, she's biased. Like, the documentary is biased, about everything's biased against him. Do you try and look at it and say, how could things be in favor of John here? What's good for Mr. Melendez?
So I do. I really, really make efforts. And I think that to kind of sidetrack us a little bit, I think Miss Judy does a really great job of this. And I know she's going to actually be talking about the LOLsuit, I think this Sunday over on her channel. Everybody should absolutely go check that out. AA Legal Focus. She does a really good job of trying to stay unbiased about things. I also try to do that, but I am aware that I am biased. I am pro Karl and Shuli all the way on this. I think that this is a sham of a lawsuit. However, I don't think there's a lot of ways that John can spin this to be a good thing for him. I'm going to be interested to see what he does, and we will definitely hear some contradictions coming straight from the horse's mouth this evening as we get into talking about this thing.
I find that hard to believe, but I'm willing to listen.
I know. He's never said anything that contradicted himself, right? Never.
No, never once.
Never. Now, I think that the best way for us to get started tonight is going to be for us to read through the actual order that happened. So this is a court order. I'm going to pull it up here, and we are going to actually read through it. It is a court order that where the judge in New York County is saying, I'm done with this bullshit, we are moving it to Rochester.
Okay. Which makes sense, because why would it have been? What would be the grounds for it to be in New York City? Nothing took place there.
There are no grounds for that except for John's malarkey. And again, we will get into how much malarkey that is. We will get into his argument about why it should have been in New York City. And we will get into the judge's response to that, because the judge does actually put his response to that in this order, which is crazy to me. Now, this order is crazy for a couple of reasons. The number one reason that I think that this order is crazy is actually because we got this yesterday, and this was not on the court's docket. Now, the way that judges do things is that they plan their schedules. They're like, I'm going to look at this thing on this day. The judge wasn't planning to look at this case until February. So what made him pick it up yesterday and say, fuck this, I'm done with it? I have no idea.
I have an idea.
What's your idea?
I
do have a guess.
I suspect someone keeps bothering the courts. And if I had to guess which side that would be, I think it might be one John Melendez. I'm not certain about that. That's just
one John Melendez. I actually think that what might have happened is that when the new year happens, a lot of the courts are trying to clear off their dockets. And the judge that was handling this in New York County is an old school judge. He's been around for a while, older guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes his law clerks print out paperwork and put them on his desk.
Okay.
And he saw a giant stack of paperwork that was, 8 inches tall. And he was like, how can I get rid of this? And he saw request to transfer venue. Yeah, let's do that. I don't want to deal with this.
Okay, that makes sense.
Wouldn't you? If you can do less work, don't you want to?
Especially if it has nothing to do with you. If you look at it and say, well, this is not our why would it be in New York City? I think it makes sense to transfer if you can get rid of it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into this actual order. So this says defendants move for an order transferring the venue of this action to Supreme Court Monroe County, which again is where Rochester is, and the plaintiff opposes. So what that's saying is that Karl and Shuli are asking for this, and John is saying, no, I don't want that.
Right.
Pursuant to CPLR 503, venue is proper in a county in which one of the parties resided when it was commenced, or where a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to the claim occurred. So John basically has to prove that either somebody lived in New York County or that a substantial part of the events relating to this claim happened. And he does none of that.
It seems to me Cape Coral would actually be the most logical place, right?
I've kind of made the argument that he can't use Cape Coral alone. He needed to have DabbleCon 2, which happened in Rochester.
Okay.
Included in this lawsuit. And so he does include both of the events. I think that if he had just done the, not even Cape Coral, but just like the Florida stuff, so like Dabble House, if he had just done that in this lawsuit, it would have been nothing. Actually,
why do you think that
more
is?
Nothing than it is?
Because there weren't like tickets sold to that? Like people weren't showing up to an event?
Exactly. So people came to DabbleCon 2 in Rochester. That was a physical event. The couch cushions were there, which is a central part of his complaint, which is the most absurd thing that I've ever heard. So this order continues along. It says, in this action, plaintiff sues defendants for violations of New York Civil Rights Law 50 and 51 by using his name, image, likeness, and voice for commercial purposes without his authorization, for common law misappropriation of name, of right of publicity, and for unfair competition. Why can't I read words right now? Competition? Why that? It can't possibly say that.
Unfair competition?
No, it must say compensation is what it must mean.
Right.
My glasses are on, but I still have very poor eyesight. So you guys are going to forgive me and correct me, of course. It is undisputed that the only county in New York in which any party resides is Monroe County. So that would be Karl.
Right.
While plaintiff alleges that he seeks to leave to amend his complaint to add another defendant who resides in New York County, leave has not yet been granted, and it is unclear whether it will be granted. So this is a huge allusion to Kate and John's attempt to add Kate into this lawsuit.
Well, how would that? Oh, because her recordings were part of both events, I guess.
Her recordings were part of both events. However, she is not part of the lawsuit. And so the judge in New York County is like, well, nobody is officially living in New York County that relates to this in any way. Yet Karl lives in Rochester. So why wouldn't we be in Rochester?
Yeah. The idea of doing it there for Kate would be like basing like the OJ trial on where Kato Kalin was living or something, which is,
exactly.
I know it's house, but you see what I mean?
That's a perfect analogy. Absolutely. Right. 100%. I cannot get over that. And what I think is really unique also about this order is that a lot of the time when courts issue orders like this, they won't make a lot of commentary like that. This judge made commentary like that. And to me, what that suggests is that the judge in New York County is telling the future judge in Monroe County, hey, you might want to look at this little piece here. You might want to take a little peek at why this is happening and what's going on.
Okay.
It's unclear whether it will be granted. That's a crazy, crazy statement for a judge to make.
Oh, really? Is that not usual?
To me, it's unusual.
Okay.
Again, I feel like it's like a little hat tip to the future judge.
Right.
I feel like he's saying like, hey, are you going to grant this? Are we going to do this? Are we going to placate to John's whatever requests he's making?
I like that this guy's biased now too. He's had enough of John also.
Well, and again, that's why it's so crazy that he looked at this yesterday. I feel like he just wanted it off his desk. He was like, I am done. I am so done with all of this malarkey. I don't want to look at couch cushion bullshit anymore.
Right.
I don't. It's so crazy. All right. So he continues along in this order. The sole basis in the complaint for plaintiff's assertion that the venue in New York County is proper is that a, quote, substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to a claim occurred here. However, while plaintiff claims that the civil conspiracy began in New York County, no such claim is stated in his complaint. And in any event, there is no such cognizable claim in New York. Again, huge statement.
Yeah. So that won't even be, the Kate meeting tapes won't even be used as anything, right?
As anything. This judge is saying, what do you mean a substantial part of events happened in New York County? If they did, you should have put that in your initial action, and John did not. This judge is literally saying, John, you messed up your first bit of stuff. You did nothing.
Yeah. Well, so the way you phrased that, and my first thought too was like, oh, John fucked this up. But that's not actually true. How did John's lawyers not catch any of this? And how do they not say to him, hey, like, Kate is in New York. It's a one-party consent state. She can record you. Like, how do they not get through to him on any of this stuff? Because it's not John filing this lawsuit alone and putting all this stuff together. John's an idiot, sure, but like there should be people handling this that can go comb over the finer details.
That shouldn't be idiots, and yet they all are. I think we can all agree that there is probably some sort of puppet mastery going on here. I don't know exactly what's happening with that, but I will agree that this initial complaint and all of John's initial claims make zero sense when it comes to what he's actually suing Karl and Shuli for. Like, it doesn't make sense. And again, I think this is another point where this judge, I think it's Justice Cohen in New York County, is giving the hat tip to the future judge in Monroe County. He's saying, hey, you might want to look at these little teeny tiny pieces, because he did not have to put any of this in his order.
Yeah. It does feel, as much as I understand we don't know the law as well as John. I've heard him say that many times. So that's
absolutely
true.
Not.
of course. But
I believe that he recently claimed that he knows the law better than the judges. So
I bet that's true.
We're just
I don't find it hard to believe. But like, it does seem, following it as just a complete outsider, it does seem like this is all the work of John, which is not what I want my lawyer to be doing. And I say that like kind of shitting on John, but also not I don't want my lawyer to do the job that I would do. I don't want people to look at it and be like, well, Mike must have filed this, you know?
I always feel like it's kind of challenging when it comes to lawsuits, because when we talk about lawsuits, anything that happens in a lawsuit is technically the actions of the plaintiff and the defendant. So technically the actions of John and Karl and Shuli in this case.
Okay.
That being said, they should have good attorneys who are guiding them through things. I think we can all agree that Karl and Shuli have an amazing, amazing attorney, Danny Servalos, who has been outstanding in all of his motions. And John's attorneys have been a little lackluster, shall we say?
It seems so far, yeah. And they may not even show up to they may not be able to make it to Rochester. I do remember, am I crazy or do I remember John saying that he's like, yeah, my lawyer's not he's only licensed in New York City. He can't do Rochester.
Oh, you sure do remember that. Let's actually check that clip out, because that is one of my favorite parts of what is about to happen. And we are going to be looking at John's reaction to this order. We're going to be looking at all of those things. Let's take a step back, though, where John explains that his attorneys who are licensed in New York State cannot practice in Rochester, which is a part of New York State.
Did you really just ask an attorney who's licensed to practice law in the state of New York if he can practice law in Rochester, New York? Well, yeah, there are different cases where some could be licensed, I believe, in the state of New York. Is that true, Miss Judy? And then some can only do the New York City.
Mike, I got to tell you, my favorite part about this, a lot of people don't understand how New York State works. So like when I tell people that I live in Rochester, they're like, oh, you must go to New York City all the time. And I'm like, no, that's a 6-hour drive for me.
Right.
I might as well be going to Boston. Like it would be quicker for me to get to Boston than it would be for me to get to New York City.
Mm-hmm.
John lives in New York State. He should understand how this state works. He should understand it. Like, this is insane. All right.
To me, what he should understand more is the idea that when you pass the bar, like, you're licensed to practice law in the state of New York. Even Rochester? Well, no, of course not. Not all the way out there. Just like the best parts of it. You can do New York City. You can do Long Island. You know, the cool parts.
That's crazy talk. You would need 2 gold stars on your bar exam in order to be able to practice in Rochester. That's
so if you're licensed in the state, then you can practice in whatever city.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But one of my attorneys said that, that if they moved it to to Rochester, that he couldn't do it. So I didn't understand.
Well, probably because it's too far for him.
Yeah. He meant he couldn't, like, he didn't feel like it. That's what he meant by he couldn't do it.
He meant, I am not, while I am on contingency, going to travel 1,000,000 miles away. And again, we are going to get into at least one of his lawyers being on contingency, at least what it's going to mean for John that this exists in Rochester now.
I'm very stupid. Could you tell me what a contingency is?
Yeah, contingency is basically I'm working for free until you win money.
I figured. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's basically like I won't take any money from you unless you win.
Got it.
Which is a crazy thing to do. And John admitted, for some reason, he admitted that his attorneys, at least one of them, is working on contingency.
Well, think of the publicity you'll get from this high-profile case. I mean, now if I need a lawyer, or Tukey, or Cardiff, we all might go to Tab or Benedict.
Listen, I would go to Tukey before I would go to Tabber any day of the week. Any day of the week. Tukey, get your Rochester, New York law license in order for me to be able to use you. Yeah. Just Rochester. That's the only city that he's allowed to practice in, actually. All right, so let's continue here in the order. So the only other identified connection to New York County is the New York City media market, an audience for defendants' alleged scheme, which is insufficient, and the plaintiff cites no authority to support that proposition. Again, this is the court saying, no, 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 no. You are absolutely not proving your case that this should be in New York City. It should be in Rochester. And that is how we kind of got to this place.
It is. I don't know the way this works. I don't know if John himself will physically ever have to go to Rochester. But if so, it is very fitting that this showdown will find like it's a story. It's a storybook ending where John finally has to show up in Rochester to face Lady K.
He was threatening the other night that he was going to, if he had to go to Rochester, that he was going to do an appearance at Comedy at the Carlson. And I was like, oh no, Vinny Paulino, watch out. Like, we already tried this. We literally tried this.
Yeah, is he still welcome there?
Back? Listen, Vinny tried to get him there. I don't know why that whole thing stopped. Maybe it was because of John, who could have possibly known. Yeah. Let's go back and take another little peek at if John thinks that this lawsuit is going to get moved, because he made some, like, he was like, oh no, it's probably not going to get moved. I think it goes exactly against what the court order says. So again, we just read that court order, and the court is saying, you didn't prove your case, you didn't state it in the complaint, and in addition to that, your claim that the media market in New York City, that audience, not sufficient either.
Right. It seemed likely that the case would be moved because that's where the defendants are, right?
No, there's only one defendant in Rochester, and there's one in Alabama, and then and then there may be one in Manhattan. So it's kind of.
So again, that's still more than are in New York County. There's only one defendant in Rochester, is what he says. It would have made more sense for him to file in Alabama at this point.
And also, what does he mean? There may be one in New York City. When he said this, was he still deciding whether or not to include Kate Meany?
This is after he requested to include Kate Meany. The reason that he's saying there may be one is because she has not yet been admitted into the lawsuit. The court has to actually approve her inclusion in the lawsuit. And so right now she is not part of the lawsuit. So he actually did say that well. That is the only credit that I will give to John tonight.
If you include her, again, I don't know how this stuff works.
Yep.
If you include her because I guess it would be on the ground that she provided content to them.
That is what they are trying to allege.
Okay. So then I don't want to throw you under the bus here. You, Chris, Trucker Andy, like wouldn't everyone involved those weekends be fucking Kumia would be involved. Like, all the people there would be involved, right?
Could not agree more. And one of the main points that I have made about this lawsuit is that I don't think that the correct parties were sued in the first place. I believe very strongly that anybody who was involved in these events, anybody who made commentary about the Kate Meany tapes, anybody who did any of that stuff, I think that they should have been included as defendants. I'm thankful that I wasn't, but to me, this lawsuit was filed incorrectly from the beginning.
You can't file a lawsuit against the people you hate the most involved,
I mean, you can file a lawsuit against anything.
No, I know, but I guess I'm saying, like, if there's multiple guilty parties, you can't just be like, nah, but these are the two worst guys.
These are the good guys.
I guess they were the two running it.
I believe that is the probably thought is these are the two who were like collecting the money for it. Right. And so then they potentially Karl and Shuli could go and, file claims against me and producer Chris and Trucker Andy and Zen and all the other people and Anthony Cumia. Theoretically, that's what could happen. Please don't sue me, guys.
Karl, I just had a great idea for you.
No. Theoretically, that is what could happen. However, again, when you are talking about filing a lawsuit, what you want to do is you want to name all of the necessary parties. You want to name all of the people who are interested parties, is frequently the term that we use for them. Anybody who could potentially be impacted by the lawsuit, you want to name, because you want to basically cancel out their interest in that lawsuit. And John didn't do that. And well, John's attorneys didn't do that on the guidance of his attorneys, I suppose.
I don't think John could do that. I don't think he could name everyone involved with DabbleCon. Like, no offense, I love Trucker Andy. I don't think John would be able to name him. I don't think John knows who he is.
He only just learned my name, and that was just so that he could call me a whore. So,
right.
And dox me. Let's not forget about that. Come on. That's the most important things. Let's start doxing everybody. It'll be great. It'll be so wonderful.
It's a great thing to do to people.
It's just so nice. It's so incredibly nice. All right. Let's get back into this court order, because we are finally going to get into the actual parts where the judge is ordering things here. So let me pull that up. Did I get rid of it? I know how to read things and do things. We're doing great. All right. Hang on. Oh, boy.
Look at you. Isn't she doing great, guys?
I'm so professional. All right. Okay. So this is where we get into the actual part of the order where the judge is saying we are changing the venue. So the judge says, ordered that the motion for a change of venue is granted and that the venue of this action is changed from the court of the Supreme County, from this court to the Supreme County, County of Monroe. And it's further ordered that the clerk of this court shall transfer this file in this action to the clerk of the Supreme County, County of Monroe, and shall mark his records to reflect such transfer. So this is saying officially, we are no longer in New York County, we are no longer in Manhattan, and we are officially in Rochester. Done. This judge is done with this. He never wants to look at this ever again.
Makes sense. All right. So
we're going I wouldn't either. Yeah. Heck yeah. We're going to Rochester. Are you so excited?
It really is exciting.
I'm so excited. It's literally 2 blocks away from my job. So I will be at every single court appearance. I'm so excited.
I also get why people won't want to go to Rochester, because you made the Boston to New York City comparison. It'd be so much easier for me to go to New York City and protest against Karl and Shuli, you know? I have to go all the way to Rochester to hold my sign up.
I can't wait to see that, actually. It better be a big enough sign that I can see it from my office.
Like, absolutely. I'll bring my megaphone. I have chants ready.
Yes. Oh my God. I can't wait. That's going to be amazing. Everybody join Blind Mike in that. It's going to be so great. So, all right. What does this actually mean? Now, everybody has been asking me a lot about how this impacts the lawsuit. So let's start to talk about that. We're going to dive way deeper into how it impacts the lawsuit. But a lot of people have been asking me if this means that the lawsuit is effectively starting over. And I want to address that, because it does kind of feel like a restart, right? When we transfer something to an entirely different place, is it starting over?
Right. It feels like it would have to go through the same whatever the last 5 months have been. It feels like it would have to go through that process.
Thank God, no. And my answer to that is it never really started.
Okay.
The judge never really looked at anything. The first time that the judge looks at things, he said, get it off my desk. He did not dive into any of the information. He did not dive into the arguments. He just said, I don't want to look at this. Give it to Rochester. Give it to Rochester.
But does it now take 5 months for Rochester to get to it?
So that's a great question. And the answer to that is no.
Okay.
In New York City, in Manhattan, unsurprisingly, there are tons and tons and tons of long, boring lawsuits. And so the judges are very bogged down. They are work overflow to the extreme. Monroe County does not have that. Monroe County, they look at stuff very quickly. So the first thing that I thought of when I saw this order was, holy cow, we're going to get a decision so much quicker.
Nice.
And to me, that is some of the best news, not just for us because we want answers, but also because that means less attorney fees for everybody.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. I mean, when you're protesting, you'll have your sign that says more attorney fees for Karl and Shuli, but
of course, yeah.
I think, I really truly believe that because this is transferred to Rochester, that instead of us getting a decision 6 months to 12 months down the road, we are probably going to start getting decisions and more orders like this one within 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
This,
All
I think,
right.
has just rapid fired this entire lawsuit.
That would be great.
I know.
Because I'm starting to lose interest. I'm like,
I
just
know,
put
it's
him in
so
jail,
boring.
It's enough already.
It's totally enough already. I think that it is going to be really, really cool to see how much quicker we get a judge assigned, because again, it even took a long time to get a judge assigned initially. I think it's going to be interesting to see how much quicker they put things on the docket, which again will be the first times that the judge is looking at things. And in addition to that, I think that the judges in Rochester probably see less wacky lawsuits than the judges in Manhattan do.
Oh,
So,
they'll be excited for this.
Well, I don't know if excited is the right word, but I think they're going to be less tolerant to couch cushions.
I suppose, yeah.
Rochester compared to Manhattan is like, we're like a little podunk town compared to Manhattan, right?
Right.
The judge is going to be baffled by this lawsuit.
I guess the only thing I would worry about,
Yep.
trying to think of how to phrase this. If for that same reason, if the judge is a little less used to dealing with ridiculous cases like this, is it easier for John to sway a judge like that? Because as we've always said, like if you watch John and just hear his version of events, you're like, oh my God, how did these monsters do this? Did they harass you and they go after your kids? You need someone that is really going to sink their teeth into this case in order to understand all of the bizarre elements of what exactly is happening here. Also, I imagine possibly an older group of people working in Rochester. I don't know if that's fair or not, but it might be harder for people like that to understand the idea. I'm sure they're dealing with less cases of, internet streamers going after each other.
Yeah. So I will say that the judges in Manhattan are equally as old as the judges in Rochester.
Okay.
What I think is interesting about the judges in Rochester is that I do think that they have their fingers on the pulse a little bit more than we would expect. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these judges went to comedy at the Carlson. I wouldn't be surprised if these judges participate in things that exist around Rochester. And so when they see things like that, they're going to go, oh, I know what that's like. I know what this experience is.
Oh,
And I think that Karl and Shuli's attorney, Danny, is so good that he is the one to explain it to them. And he did such a good job in all of his paperwork. All of his paperwork still stands, and all of his paperwork is going to go in front of this judge in Monroe County now. And because of that, the judge is going to go, oh, they weren't trashing his kids. Oh, they didn't do this. Oh, they didn't steal couch cushions.
The idea that trashing his kids is going to come up in this case. Like, shit, that's the shit that's funny to me. And that's why we always, I heard Karl say this the other day, and I've been saying it a lot since I heard about the lawsuit, where I think that's always a thing podcasters have, where it's like, oh, good, if this guy sues me, that'll be great publicity for the show. And we could talk, it'll be a great storyline, it'll be content, all that. And then I think Karl realized at a certain point, like, oh, it sucks. I'm dealing with a fucking lawsuit. This is a headache, and I can't talk about it on air. So it's actually a nightmare. And so that, like, that's what's interesting to me is the idea of couch cushions and trashing my kids. Like, that's what I was really hoping for, is storylines like that coming out of this case.
I think that will be what it's like if it does actually make it to trial, if the judges in Monroe County do actually want to learn more about it. And I imagine it's going to be a lot of, well, they drew first blood, and the judge is going to go, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about?
I hope that's true.
It doesn't make any sense. Also, I actually just want to mention, if you guys haven't seen it yet, TTTT presently, who did the absolutely amazing Pocahontas for Dabblehouse, for the Dabblehouse Film Festival. He actually just created another video all about what would happen if John was representing himself in a lawsuit. And I have to be honest with you, it is kind of what I imagine John doing in a courtroom, which is basically just, I am right and first blood and cracking beers and beer math and all this incredibly dumb stuff. It's a really great little animation. I think I actually linked it down below, so if you guys haven't seen that, definitely go check that out.
That's the beauty of John, is like, you can go the absurd route of him, if he's yelling Skol in the courtroom, but even by John's own description, where he tries to prove he could be a lawyer, and then he's like, for instance, here's something I'd do, and it sounds like a functionally mentally challenged man describing like what he thinks a lawyer would do. That's the real beauty of John, is when he actually tries something. He's not just a guy that seems like he can't do anything. Sometimes he'll put his mind to it and fail just as masterfully.
Again, he doesn't even know. He is so dumb that he thinks that a attorney who can practice in New York State cannot practice in Rochester, which is a part of New York State.
Yeah, perfect example. Yeah. He said he got a 640 on his LSAT, and that never came up.
It's so good. He did so good. I was actually really proud of him for that. It was almost unbelievably real, you know?
Yeah, very impressive.
All right, let's get back into this order a little bit. We're almost done with it. We just had a couple more notes on it here. So another thing that is said here is ordered. So again, anytime that one of these paragraphs is starting with the term ordered, that means that this judge from New York County is ordering that this happen. So he says, I am ordering that within 30 days from the entry of this order, that counsel for movement shall serve a copy of this order with notice of entry upon the clerk of this court, and they shall pay the appropriate transfer fee, if any, and shall contact the staff of the clerk of this court to cooperate in effectuating the transfer. So what this means is that Danny, Karl and Shuli's attorney, needs to file what is called notice of entry. Notice of entry is quite boring. He already has filed it, actually. He had 30 days in order to file it. This is just when he is formally alerting all of the parties that a court order or judgment was officially recorded. Now, John obviously already knows about this, and we are going to get into John's response to finding out about this live on air and his response since then.
Oh, man.
But yeah, how did it? It's so silly that his attorney didn't tell him. I'm jumping ahead of myself because I'm so baffled by this entire thing.
Oh, is that what you mean when you say found out on air? Did like Chatters tell him or something?
Oh yeah. Oh, Dick had told him. Oh yeah. Oh, we're gonna. All right. In addition to that, this says that it is ordered that the clerk of the court shall coordinate the transfer of this file and this action with the clerk of the Supreme Court, County of Monroe, so to ensure an efficient transfer and to minimize, insofar as practical, the reproduction documents, including with regard to any documents that may be in digital format. So this is, again, just saying, make sure Monroe County has absolutely everything that they need. We finish off with, again, more like boring legal mumbo jumbo up in here. But again, I think that the two most important parts of that order are going to, well, I guess three most important parts are going to be, this is officially transferred to Monroe. In addition to that, this judge is making very clear statements to the new judge in Monroe County. He says, you might want to look at this Kate Meany stuff. And in addition to that, you might want to look at the fact that John is kind of lying here. You might want to like nudge yourself over into these little thingy-majigs.
Be great if the judge became a fan. He's like, here's some videos you should actually watch. They're pretty good.
Yeah. Enjoy. In addition to that, we also had another document that was filed yesterday. It is the second order. So this is a second order that was sent by the court. This one is very, very boring. And it just says that the motion to dismiss is also transferred. Now, we already know the entire case is transferred. Everything is moving over to Monroe County at this point. So again, this is just a 1-sentence little mini order, very boring. And then Danny filed his notice of entry as pursuant to that order, which is great. He did a great job, as he always does. He does great. All right, let's check out a couple of super chats, and then we will get into John finding out live on air that his case is moving to Monroe County. We have Hunter Duke coming in for $10. I won't catch this live, so I wanted to make sure to support the best legal show in the Dabbleverse. You're the best, Kaylee. Blind Mike, if you make it this time, you're a pretty swell guy yourself.
I'm here. I made it. I apologize.
You guys, we don't have to sue Blind Mike. It's amazing.
Oh, no. Was that on the table? Oh, no.
No, nothing happened on Twitter today. I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody made any comments about that. Definitely nothing. We have Jabroni coming in for $5. Love your show, LTB. If SJ's attorney doesn't go to Rochester, will SJ have to show up? If he fails to show, will it be dismissed? This is a great question. We are going to get more into this. I'm going to give you a brief answer now. Somebody needs to show up in Rochester for court dates. Somebody needs to.
I've been left no choice but to represent myself.
Everybody is begging for John to be pro se. That's what we all want, right? That's what we all want.
Yeah.
If somebody does not appear at one of these appearances on the plaintiff's side, it will almost certainly be dismissed. So somebody is going to have to, he's going to have one of his attorneys himself or hire a new attorney. Something's going to happen. Again, we'll get more into that. We got lots more to talk about. The wonderful Donna G is coming in here. The bright light in the Dabbleverse for $20. Thank you so much. Hello, Kaylee and Mike. Cannot wait for this breakdown. Hopefully Mike is not disappointing you.
What the hell?
Come on. Never. Revenge of Penis Wrinkles coming in for $5. Is it possible that Beer Can Jerry admitted to something problematic regarding the affidavit on John's show a while back? Oh, I don't know exactly what you're talking about there. There's a lot of problematic things with the affidavits that John submitted. Those are moot at this point because the court has already granted everything relating to those affidavits. So John had submitted affidavits about why this should stay in Manhattan. The court didn't give a fuck about those. I think there was still some perjury in them, but yeah, we can move on, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sorcerer is coming up for $2. Yes, let's go. Hey, Mike, love your breakdowns.
Thank you, buddy.
Mike, you've been doing some really great stuff, actually. Tell everybody what's been going on over on your channel recently.
We just had Louis J. Gomez pop in the other day. We had Tukey on the show, which I thought was a big deal. And then Louis showed up. So it was a very fun episode.
So Tukey was still the big deal.
Yeah, some would say, yeah. A lot of people said the best part was that the entire time while Louis was talking, Tukey was just looking up at him on the screen.
I know, it was so cute. It's adorable.
He is adorable. I said that about Cardiff, too. I say people forget how adorable he is, you know? But yeah, that's been happening there, and Why You Laughing and all that good stuff. We'll be back live at 10 a.m. on Sunday, too.
Yay. All right, we got Billy Vegas coming in for $10. Can Drunky Benedict Esquire say, I'm done with this bullshit and remove himself from the case? Or does John have to have another lawyer first? FSJ, love, LYMF, blah, 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 LYMTF. So anybody can remove themselves from any case at any time. There was a lot of rumors that Tabor Benedict was going to remove himself from the case. He has not done that yet. In order to do that, he must file something with the courts. Nothing has been filed yet. So technically, he is still one of John's attorneys.
Okay.
I guess.
I do think in the spirit of sportsmanship, if John is left to defend himself, that Karl and Shuli should say, we're going to do the same. We're also, just in the name of content, they should all defend themselves at that point.
I don't like your picket fence lines. You're like literally, you're like standing out here with, no, you're crazy. You're a crazy person. No. I disagree.
I'm also part of the Super Tip lawsuit, so get ready for that.
Yeah, I can't wait. So John does not have to have another attorney if this were to happen. So if Tabor were to pull out, he does already have Susser. Both of them are technically his attorneys right now. Because of that, he would have Susser if Tabber did pull out. But also, if both of them pulled out, he could technically represent himself pro se, which means he's representing just himself, or he can hire another attorney. So that will be very interesting to see what happens now that this is in Rochester, because I highly doubt that Tabber or Susser are coming here. And that's going to be my tease for what I think is going to happen with that.
Ooh.
We got X Tom R coming in for $5. I'm just here to convince Lucy to please go on a date with Lenny and record it, please. That will cost more than $5, sir. It will cost 1 kidney stone is the answer to that. Jess is coming in for $10. Thank you so much. There has been no response from Tabber. Is that normal? Tabber has not filed anything in a very long time, which is very abnormal for Tabber. I feel like it was every day for 2 months that he was filing bullshit. I don't know. And again, there's been a lot of rumors that he is gonna pull out of this case. Not official yet, but there have been rumors. I think I actually did a full quickie with Lucy talking specifically about that topic. So you guys can check that out. It's probably only like 7 or 8 minutes long.
If he's not filing stuff, imagine the volume of calls he's getting from John pestering him about it.
I cannot imagine that either of these attorneys ever want to talk to John.
But we hear about the number of calls he gives people when he has nothing to talk about. Imagine when he has something this important that he needs to get across to them, how often he's calling them.
He accidentally called Vinnie Paulino the other day.
I was there. I showed up. It was moments before I popped on to the All Apologies podcast that I did with those gentlemen. Right before I got on. Actually, he might have still been on the phone. He might have just hung up when John called him.
He's calling his enemies by mistake. That's how frequently he is calling people. Like,
he just needs to talk.
Well, I mean, let's also be honest. He's going to need Vinnie Paulino to get into comedy at the Carlson when he's here in Rochester for this lawsuit. So they should make nice.
Vinny, I know I've added you to the lawsuit, but can you book me at the club?
I can't wait to watch him performing on the corner. It's going to be great. Epic Miss Donna Meaner. Why you falsely claim VTL said you begged to be sued? I've gotten asked about this a lot. I haven't actually watched the previous clip. I'm sure that I said at some point that I wanted to get sued, and that I forgot that I said that. I was probably being stupid. I'm a dumb woman. I'm a dumb, stupid paralegal woman.
I've said stuff like that too before, and this has taught me. Though I don't want that actually. It seems like a headache.
Yeah, it's easy to forget things that you say. CDR 1511 for $2. As soon as I heard about the change, I searched for your show. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. John Skimpy Halloween Hand, the wonderful John Skimpy Halloween Hand, coming in for $2. SJ openly brags about how he never pays lawyers. That is absolutely true. I'm actually just going to play a very quick little clip to remind us about how his lawyers are on contingency.
I mean, my lawyer's on contingency, so
My lawyer is on contingency. I do not pay lawyers. He says it at least about one of them. I guess we don't officially know that it's about both of them, but John Skimpy Halloween Hand might know more about that than I do.
It's very similar to what he says to guests, where he'll have guests and he's like, I don't need to pay my guests. Where it's like, okay, but why are you bragging to them about it? It just seems like a strange point of pride that you don't pay people.
When he does pay his guests, he pays them $20, Ashley. What the fuck, dude?
I mean, that's an opportunity you can't pass up. Be on John's show and get 20 bills. That's pretty good.
I would be honored. Listen, no. Stuttering Coke Jaw coming in for $5. VTL has no connects in Monroe, so I think that SJ is about to find out that he will be without legal rep moving forward. Don't cross the Duke. It is definitely going to be interesting to see this. Sean, the producer, coming in for $10. I was the only witness for a defense in a $20 million lawsuit. My testimony won the case for the defense. The plaintiff's lawyer was on contingency. He lost his mind when the verdict was read. I can't wait to see reactions, shall we say.
That'll be interesting.
And again, now they're in my backyard, which is even better. Edward Efsler coming in for $10. Lucy, since Judy is a divorce attorney, please have her go through John's divorce case. Oh, hello, Michael.
Hello.
If that is your real name.
It is. As John exposed, it is my real name.
Oh, no. Are you okay? Were you doxxed?
That was my favorite ever. I know I've said it a million times, but my favorite moment that I've ever had with John is when he said, oh, you really, Mike Geary? Geary? And I thought like my world was gonna crumble. I was like, no, it's literally my Instagram handle. It's in my name everywhere. It's Mike Geary. It's not a secret.
He's very proud of himself. He's doing really good. Just be proud of him. Just be proud of him. I will say, I know that Judy has actually asked him about going through those divorce papers, and I know that he has been a little bit hesitant about that. I'll kind of defend him on this one a little bit. Divorce papers are very personal. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not, it's not our business really. Like this is different because it's involving, it feels like much more of a public case than
it is.
I don't really give a shit. People say nasty things when they get divorced about each other,
But not only that, this is actually a public case. This is actually public record in almost all states. I assume that John got divorced in California. Almost all states actually put all of the divorce paperwork completely behind the wall. It's not public information. It is not things that you can look up. Yeah. So that truly is private information between him and Susanna.
Yeah.
All right, we got Cardiff Electric, illegitimate son for $2. A Mike. Will your protest be in Braille?
The signs will be, yes.
I will not be able to see that from my office. I protest this. No.
I'm pretty sure Adam Bush said, I didn't check to see if it was the actual Adam Bush, but I'm pretty sure he sent me a message in Braille the other day. I was like, that seems off brand for him, but I appreciate it.
That actually kind of seems on brand for him, no? Was it really long and very thoughtful?
The odd thing about sending Braille over text, I didn't get to read it. I couldn't make sense of it.
It didn't show up on your phone? Weird.
No, unfortunately.
We got subdivisions coming in for $2. I need to get sued so that Lucy will talk about me. Don't get sued. It probably sucks. Florida 49er fan coming in for $2. Hi, Princess and Mike.
Hello.
The wonderful Mike. I assume that you are also Princess.
That's nice to be complimented.
Nice to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Compound David, $2. Will VTL find a pro boner attorney for Rochester? Let's pause here for a moment and actually talk about that. So I think that the attorney situation is going to be really, really, really interesting. John, again, currently has these two attorneys. He has Tabber and he has Susser. Typically, when lawsuits are moved, or even if they are far away from wherever your physical office is, what you will have is an attorney network that is called your of counsel attorney. And these are people who are willing to go appear in different areas for you. So they're basically like your buddies. You're like, hey, I trust you to go make the same arguments that I would make when I can't physically be there.
Okay.
That is a normal thing that happens in almost all law firms. The law firm that I work at, we practice not only in Rochester, New York, we do stuff all over New York State because, again, the attorneys, they can practice all over New York State when they have their degree in Rochester. Yeah, I know. It's very shocking.
Very well on that test.
Who could have guessed? But because of this, when we are handling a case that it's based in Manhattan, our attorneys that physically work in our office in Rochester don't drive to Manhattan for that. Instead, They say to one of their buddies, they say, hey, can you handle this? I will pay you this fee and you will go handle this appearance for me.
Makes sense.
There is no way that Tabber has an of counsel network like this.
Oh, really?
His law practice is such... It's like a shim-sham. Like I feel like he doesn't care about his law practice at all. So I think the odds of him having something like that are slim to none.
Oh, is that right? So all I know about Tabor Benedict is the early coverage of him. In fact, I think it was on here where I learned a lot about Tabor Benedict. And he seems like a guy that was kind of into getting his name in the headlines a little bit. So I just assumed, with that, when a lot of flash and a wider reach.
I would assume that he has a wide reach in the sense that I assume that he has money and therefore that he can do whatever he wants, kind of. But it doesn't seem like the legal practice is the type of legal practice where he has those attorney situations.
Oh,
and again,
okay.
Rochester is relatively podunk compared to Manhattan. So how's he gonna have do you think he seems small to me, is how I want to describe him. He seems
Interesting.
small. That being said,
to the chatter's point, do you think Vince the lawyer might have someone like that could step in?
So I do believe that Vince does. However, technically, and based on Vince's commentary, he has nothing to do with this lawsuit. He keeps claiming no ownership at all. That being said, though, the other attorney that is officially a part of this lawsuit on John's behalf is Susser. And Susser, I do believe, probably has of counsel attorneys.
Okay.
However, I have no idea what the deal is because we already talked about the fact that these attorneys are potentially just working on contingency. If I'm working on contingency, I am not going to pay another attorney to show up at a court in a different city for me because that's coming out of my pocket. If I'm not getting paid in the middle of this, I'm not paying another attorney $200, $300, $400, $5 to go show up in court in Monroe County. That's insane. That would be coming out of Tabor or Susser's pocket.
Yeah, and I do believe they are working on contingency because I think if John were paying legal fees at this point, he would be bitching about it a lot. He would not. Yeah. He would not hide that. He would be talking about how ridiculous it is that he has to pay this fee and that fee, and he'd be bitching about it nonstop.
And again, like John's Gimpy Halloween hand said, he is bragging about the fact that he doesn't pay attorneys.
Right.
So these two attorneys are not going to say, I'm going to take money out of my pocket to have somebody appear. And that is going to be how John potentially loses these two attorneys. Because even if Susser does have an attorney that he can send to court in Rochester, he would have to pay that attorney because that attorney is not going to do it for free. Mm-hmm. That attorney's not going to work on contingency. They're going to be like, that's stupid. Why would I do anything for free? Why these two guys are doing it for free? Who knows?
There's nothing ethically or anything that would suggest that they should still take the case. Like, is that normal if you have the idea that a case is supposed to be taking place in Manhattan and that's why you take it on and then it gets moved to Rochester? Is that very normal that a law firm would be like, oh, well, we can't take your case anymore then?
That is an interesting question. I don't believe that there's anything ethically wrong about that. That being said, I don't actually know. There might be some, I don't want to say repercussions because that's not the right term. There might be some reason, though, that they wouldn't want to do that. That being said, again, talking about Tabor specifically, I don't know if he's going to care because I don't know that he cares about the publicity of this. I mean, maybe he cares about the publicity of it, but I don't know if he cares about his reputation. His reputation is in the shitter after, bicycle accidents.
Right.
He has no recovery on his horizon. I think he's already discovered. That is a really interesting question, though. I believe that there are plenty of reasons that an attorney can say, I am no longer doing this case. And I don't think that any court would be upset if the reason was it's too far away.
Okay.
Even though typically these attorneys do have these of counsel attorneys.
Gotcha.
That's neat, though. I'm going to look more into that because I'm actually very curious. All right, let's hit a few more super chats, and then we are going to get into what John's options are, what John's response was, all of that good stuff. We have Bilbo Baggins coming in for $2. Hi, gorgeous, and Lucy.
Oh, I like that. Hello, baby.
Mark K coming in for $2. Why does KB hate you so much? He was just sniping. Oh, I'm honored. Thanks, KB.
He hates you now?
I don't know. One time he talked about how great my boobs were, so I thought he liked me.
Sweet of him. Yeah.
I know. I was honored.
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice. Substantial gear for $5. With the lawsuit moved, any chance no one shows, and SJ claims that it was the court's fault that it got dismissed. So obviously he won. He will not be able to claim that, because if the court dismisses it due to lack of appearance, they will put that in the order.
Yeah.
That will 100%. It will say nobody appeared on plaintiff's behalf.
That's not going to stop him. He's going to say that's bullshit. You don't know the law like I know the law. He will still take a victory on that.
Touche. What do you think his victory is on this?
I don't know, but it will be something of this level where the Sirius XM lawsuit, his victory is it got all the way to the appellate court, which to my knowledge is not like an achievement. It's not like it's hey, you reached the mountaintop. It's just like where the case ended up.
Going to the appellate court means that you lost. I cannot stress enough that is not a win. It literally means that you lost.
But
when he brags about
that's his brag about that case. So that he'll find something of similar ridiculousness to hang his hat on this one.
Yeah, it's completely crazy. All right, couple more here. We got Clyde coming in for $10. Sorry if you already covered this, but couldn't John bragging about not paying his lawyers be used as evidence for Shuli's slap claim? Doesn't it show that John's intent was to just drain them for lawyers' fees? The slap claim, I think, is going to be much more nuanced than that. We haven't really talked a lot about the slap claim right now. The slap claim is also going to be seen now by the Monroe County judges. So that will be very interesting. Again, I think they might be a little bit more lenient on that. So I'm excited to kind of see where that goes. I don't know about John bragging about them being a good point for the slap claim. But again, I, as not an attorney, might be missing something there entirely. Kimbo Lee coming in for $5. I feel this change of venue is one of many losses to come. I could not agree more. Sorcerer coming in for $2. They had to move the case. It was so strong. Yes. Agreed. It was too strong for Manhattan.
We can't. We've never seen anything this ironclad, John. We can't.
Ironclad, yes, absolutely. All right, we need to get into John's response because, again, he found out live on air that this was happening, not even from his attorneys. And as we listen to this clip, I just want everybody to really, really, really focus on John's stammering. We all know that he stammers when he is nervous, when he is lying. So let's take a peek at this.
But Dick, was that really important to do that now? Was that really important to send me that now? Or could that have waited until after I was done? I'm just curious. I mean, think about, I would assume that would have been something I would have waited to show, but again, it's okay. I can't, I can't,
Why are you reacting to it is a great question.
Why read it? Why react to it? Why are you doing this live on air? If you are chastising Ditka for having the gall to send it to you on air, why don't you take the mature route and say, well, obviously I'm not going to read this and react to it live on air if it was a bad idea for him to even send it?
Mike, you have no idea how correct you are about this, because in a couple of clips, we are going to hear John contradict himself. He is going to explain to us that Ditka texted him, and that was a super dick move of Ditka to do that. But also he's going to say, well, but my phone was off, so there was no way of me knowing about this. Why would I have ever seen it when I was live on air? So he's not only getting pissed off that he's finding out live on air that he chose to read it, that he chose to react it, but also he's like, well, I wouldn't look at anything when I was live on air.
I've never had a phone. No, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah, that's completely insane.
But again, it's okay. I can't, I can't, I know you're trying to help, but come on, have some tact.
It's all I gotta say. The way John talks to his guys, his friends, like I always hear him say, like, "I love Ditka, I love Vegas beer sales Jerry and Clay Dabbler." Like he loves these people. The way when he gets pissed at them, it's not the way you shit on like a friend when you are mad at them. You know what I mean? It feels more like the way you shit on an employee when they do something wrong. Like when these people fuck up, it is much more like an employee-employer relationship than John's buddies stepped out of line.
Oh, it completely does. He needs to have the authority in every single relationship that he has. He needs to be able to have control over these people, because if he doesn't, then he's fucked. If he doesn't, then they're just one of the ones who drew first blood. That's the end game, you know? And I'm actually going to go ahead and skip clips because you just nailed something exactly. He is going to shit on all of these people again. He's going to shit on all of them again. This clip, we are going to be hearing a commenter bringing up the section of the order that changes the venues where the judge states that no claim is stated in his complaint. So again, this is shitting on John. This is John finding out that he fucked up, and this sends John into defense mode. So his reaction to that is to bash Ditka, because duh, why wouldn't you?
Dr. Robert J. Manley, the judge made fun of your lawyer in his decision. I don't think that's true. It's so funny because I get a text from Ditka. Now, I love Ditka.
We all do.
I do. And
yeah, who doesn't?
Same with Vegas Beer Sells Jerry and Ava. But
I love them, but also if they say things that I don't like, then I hate them.
If they cross me, they will rue the day. But I'd love them.
I love them so much. Now, again, we are going to start hearing him contradict himself here. This is going to be him getting mad at Ditka because Ditka texted him while he was live. So how, there would have been no way of knowing him about this otherwise, except for the fact that he was clearly on his phone, so he could have gotten this notification from somebody more reasonable. For example, his attorney might have been the first person to tell him about this.
I'm doing a stream and Ditka breaks the news to me. I'm like, really? I got to hear that now? Oh, I thought you would have heard from your lawyer. Well, yeah, but my phone was off.
If his phone was off, how did he get the message from Ditka?
Right. What does he mean by that?
Oh, he's going to explain more. It's not going to make any more sense, but he'll go on.
And I don't check my emails.
It's like if I didn't show up to this show and you were like, Mike, why didn't you show up? And I'm texting you, my phone's off. What do you mean? I don't know. Yeah. How could I possibly show up? My phone's not on.
How could I have possibly known? So I have right here, this is sped up 4 times of John just looking up and down, trying to figure out what the heck he's going to say. And he's sad at the end here.
So there's no way of knowing.
No chance.
There's no way of knowing. How could he have possibly known? He got a text message from Ditka, but he couldn't have possibly gotten a text message from his attorney or from an email from his attorney. Why would they tell him about that?
And I got to exonerate Ditka here. How does Ditka know if John doesn't know yet? How would he even possibly know that?
I posted it on Twitter.
Okay. Now I see.
I will tell you this. Okay, so let me kind of explain to you the background of how people typically find out about these things.
Yeah.
So there is a website that is called NICEF, and NICEF is the e-filing website in New York State. And so you can look at all of the cases that are e-filed, and you can see everything that is online. I stalk that website. So I saw this very shortly after it was filed. I got lucky. It was wonderful.
Okay.
However, what the attorneys do on this website is that they set up notifications. So all of the cases that they are handling, they will set up a notification so that as soon as something is filed in one of their cases, they get an email, and that email says, hey, there's a new filing in your case. Which means...
So conceivably, the lawyers could find out at the same time as you?
Yes. Oh, I should have found out later than the lawyers. What happened was Karl and Shuli's attorney found out immediately within seconds of this filing. And both of John's attorneys found out within seconds of this happening. And any good attorney, you are theoretically paying your attorney to do work for you. Any good attorney is going to say, here's this information immediately. Let's talk about it.
Right.
I assume that Karl and Shuli both got those notifications from their attorney, Danny. It seems like John never got his notifications from any attorneys. Yeah. He has 2 attorneys and neither of them bothered to tell him.
I guess ultimately that's my point, where if I'm involved in a lawsuit and my buddy texts me and says, hey, I hear the location was changed or whatever the fuck, my first thought is not, hey, what the fuck? I got shit to do. Why are you texting me about this? My first thought is, how the fuck does he know? And my lawyers haven't contacted me about it. I'm mad at the lawyers, not poor Ditka.
Not Ditka.
Yeah.
Poor sad Ditka. He does actually talk later. So he did 2 streams yesterday. One was him finding out live on air. One is him like complaining and like kind of ignoring it. Then later that night, so later yesterday night, he did a second stream after I think he went on a date, I believe. And this is when he is going to address it again. And he is going to talk about how the court order impacts him. Okay. I don't know if he's 100% right on all of these things, but I don't know. Let's judge what we think.
Apparently, the judge decided to grant Lady K's and Shitway's motion to move venue, which is really doesn't change it at all for me.
I don't remember. Did I play the clip where he explains that he wants it to be in Manhattan?
You did, and you also played a clip where John was berating his friend for giving him such bad news live on air.
Yeah.
Like, if it was good news, wouldn't he want Ditka to tell him? Or just neutral news? Why would he care that he found out on it? The only reason you would be like, really? Don't you think that's something you should have waited to tell me? If it's bad news.
The really bad news would have been the case getting dismissed. The case did not get, I mean, the really bad news for John, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The really good news for everybody else. The really bad news for John would have been the case being dismissed. That being said, it did not get dismissed. Again, might I be a little bit upset if one person told me that a very bad thing happened to me live on air? Yes, but also, shouldn't John be famous enough that if something like that happens, he's getting 1 million text messages?
That's a good point too. Yeah.
You know, I would have rather it been in Manhattan. I think anybody with a brain could understand why. You know, it's Manhattan's more. I mean, it's more liberal, and they understand. You know, big celebrities like myself.
I love that so much.
You people don't have celebrities out there in Rochester, right? You guys don't know what they are?
No, we don't know what they are. We've actually never heard of them before. So the lawsuit is going to need to get a lot more convoluted so that we can explain not only couch cushions, but also what celebrities are.
My, oh my, Mr. Melendez, what are you doing in a town like this?
Can you imagine? There's going to be people waiting for him to get off the airplane when he gets here. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting.
There's going to be a Tinker Tape parade for this motherfucker. It's going to be great.
You know, who have to protect their right of publicity. Skol! But it's not the end of everything. It's just, you know. So, they move venues.
So, they move venues. Oh,
Big
well.
whoop.
Not going to matter. Not going to matter at all. That being said, again, that clip that we did watch earlier with Miss Judy, John is saying, no, the venue is definitely not going to get moved. Why would it get moved? This would never happen. It clearly is supposed to be in Manhattan.
It's funny to have like the amount of self-awareness, John, where it's like, if I did, on WATS, if I had a bad reaction to something, if I was like, what the fuck, Karl? Why would you tell me that news? I wouldn't then come on here and go, if you asked me about it and go, oh no, what are you talking about? I think it's fine. I think it's a great thing. I don't think it's that big a deal at all. I would have to go, you know what? I overreacted earlier, but it's actually not that big a deal. Like, there's no, from moment to moment, It's just whatever John is feeling. There's never a feeling of having to explain why you overreacted earlier or why why you have these extreme reactions all the time and then completely contradict them moments later.
He has no ability to assess any feeling other than the one that he feels in that moment.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is why his relationships with people fluctuate so quickly. That is why, he had Quad back on recently after hating Quad for many, many years. Probably rightfully. It's completely crazy how quickly he can rapid fire through those emotions.
Yes. Yeah.
And boy, does he. All right, so let's talk now. We are going to get into... Actually, I know you said that you watched some of the reaction that John was having to finding out the information about this. What was kind of your take on that?
Mainly that he flipped so quickly, and also the idea that Manhattan is so much better equipped to deal with a celebrity of his magnitude, And there's cases like this all the time, like the Alec Baldwin, New Mexico case. It's not like they were like, oh, what? They were dazzled by out. They're like, I saw Glenn Ross. You're pretty good, sir. People are used to. John is not a celebrity to the magnitude where people are going to be awestruck. And by the way, the OJ case happened in California. You know what I mean? I don't understand why he thinks where it is will affect him based on his celebrity status.
Well, not only that, let me make this argument. I think that he would, if he was smart, think that it would be better for him to have it in Monroe County, because in Manhattan, not only is he a celebrity, but there are lots of other celebrities who might have lawsuits going on.
Oh, that's a great point, actually. They got Stern out in Rochester. Yeah, he's going to be a big star there.
He is going to be the biggest star in all of Rochester, and therefore the judge is going to be that much more empathetic to his case. The judge is going to care that much more about it. The judge is going to look into it that much more. Really, based on that argument alone, based on the argument of we should really care about how famous I am, Monroe County is the right place to be.
That's a great point. He's a diamond in the rough out there in Rochester.
We've never seen a celebrity to this magnitude.
No.
It's going to be very silly. All right. So what are his options at this point? There's a couple of different things that he can do. And we've already talked a little bit about one of those options, but we haven't talked about another one. Typically, whenever a decision is made like this in a lawsuit, your attorney is going to go to you and they're going to say, we can do option 1, option 2, option 3. Here are what we can choose. Here are the advantages and disadvantages. Here are the costs of those things. Which one would you like to pursue? In this case, I would have expected that John's attorneys would have told him that one of his options would be to appeal the decision to move the venue, which would mean that they are challenging this decision, which would mean that they are saying to the courts, we think that the judge in New York County made the wrong decision. We think this should stay in New York County. Don't move it to Monroe.
Right.
Now, there's a few issues with that. And I don't think that John will take that option. I don't think his attorneys even gave him that option, but I don't think that he would take it even if he had it as an option.
Okay.
The reasons for that are because it costs money. I don't think he has any. He brags about not paying his attorneys, about the fact that they are working on contingency. It probably costs like a couple $100 to file in an appellate court a motion like that, plus whatever he would have to pay the attorneys to do that work. And you need specific appellate attorneys in order to do work like that. Now, I highly doubt that Tabor and Susser are appellate attorneys.
Okay.
But even if they were, I certainly, if I was an attorney like this, I would not do that as contingency work, because that is hard work. It is really hard to win on appeal. They are less likely by nature to get granted than orders in the lower courts. That would be hard work for probably nothing.
Okay.
Incredibly, incredibly unlikely. It is an option, though. He technically could contest this opinion, this order.
Do you think if John's goal is to drag it out to cost Karl and Shuli
money,
don't you think he would want to appeal and just drag it out as long as he can?
I do think that. However, I don't think that he has the money to make that happen.
Okay.
Like, I think that costs him money also.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And at this point, what he claims is that it is a matter of honor and what is right. And, he claims that it has nothing to do with dragging it out. But
sure, I'm sure he just wants answers, I'm sure.
Again, it would be so challenging for him to do that because I just don't think that he has the money to do it. Appeals are very, very, very expensive. And I don't think that he has a lot of ground to win on an appeal. Like, okay. I don't think that he would win that. I think that, again, the courts, at that point, the courts might actually kind of get into like a little argument. Like, do we want it to be in Monroe? Do we want it to be in Manhattan? And Monroe would go, I don't want it. And Manhattan would go, I don't want it either. Like, everybody would be losing their shit about that. In addition to that, I don't actually know where you would file that appeal. I suppose at this point you would have to file the appeal in Monroe, and Monroe is biased because they don't want to deal with couch cushions. So then they would kick it back to Manhattan, and then Manhattan would go, well, we don't want to deal with this either. What are we going to do? So there would probably be a lot of back and forth if that were to happen.
I like that with you, it all comes down to dealing with couch cushions. That's how these courts are looking at it.
If this came across your desk,
in
any way, that is what you're focusing on, right?
That's the standout, the standout element.
It's so absurd. It's completely absurd. It doesn't make any sense at all. I can't imagine it. So the other option is for John to just say, yep, you know what? We are moving all of this stuff to Rochester. And we've already talked a little bit about the fact that at least one of his attorneys definitely will not practice in Rochester. He has admitted that live on air unknowingly because he's a big dum-dum.
Yeah.
He, didn't know how states work. And so he revealed that information to us. So what happens if neither of his attorneys are going to want to take this case in Rochester? The answer to that is either he represents himself or he gets a new attorney.
Yeah. It feels like it would be tough to find someone he knows that's going to work for his cost restrictions that is also in or around Rochester.
Again, he could get somebody who he knows that is willing to pay the of counsel to show up to appearances in Rochester.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening. And also, if it is, I want to know which attorney it is, dang it. I know I'm in Rochester. I know some of the judges in Rochester. There's 22 different judges in Rochester that might take this case on. I am very curious. And if he had an of counsel attorney in Rochester, I would really want to know who it was. Can I go smoke cigars with him? Is what my question is.
Definitely, yeah.
It's gonna be wild. So I think that kind of like leaves us off with where we're at in this case right now, which is a little bit wild to say. I think that this is a really positive thing for Karl and Shuli. The reason that I think it's so positive is because I think it is going to give us that decision so much quicker. Instead of waiting for the Manhattan courts to take an extremely, extremely long time to look at the paperwork, the Monroe County courts are going to look at this very, very quickly. They are going to say, what the heck is going on here? What do we need in order to be able to get this off our dockets? And I think it'll probably be within only a couple of months.
All right. It's exciting.
It's exciting. I know, right?
And it's a shame, like, when you hear about this stuff, you're like I said earlier, oh, it's going to be such great content. And then you're like, it takes fucking forever. It's exhausting how long it takes.
It's exhausting. Although there have been updates in one of the cases that you and I covered before, which is the Ethan Klein stuff.
Oh,
I know Frogan has been saying some crazy shit up in the recent times. So
is that right?
The last
I checked in Casey Tron. It was the Casey Tron apology, and I haven't heard anything since. So what are those girls?
I believe that the case against Casey Tron is officially dropped. I believe that they officially settled, but I think Frogan has been saying, I'm pushing forward in all this malarkey.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. That'll also be interesting, fun cases that might impact our day to day. Who the heck knows?
All right, good.
All right, let's hit a few more super chats and then we will close out tonight by talking about what is next for this lawsuit. BMC30 for $5. A lawyer would usually take a personal injury or medical malpractice on contingency. This kind of case seems too risky to take on contingency. I agree. I think that it probably is about the exposure of the infamy of Stuttering John, who doesn't want to win a case for him.
Do you think there's a chance John's lying? I mean, I know there's a chance. do you think it's possible John's lying about them working for free? That he in his mind sees that as some point of pride. Like, I don't even have to pay my lawyers. But in reality, he is paying them? Is that a feasible option?
I would say that that's possible. However, he went on that big, huge rant. I want to say it was like a month-ish ago, maybe 2 months ago. He went on this big, huge rant about how when he becomes an attorney, he is not going to charge outlandish fees.
Yes.
And I feel like, to me, although maybe that does mean that
I was going to say,
I'm proving myself wrong.
All I hear there is these motherfuckers charge me $800 an hour, and I need to nip that in the butt. I need to abolish that.
Well, so I do still think that he has only, I know a lot of people have been saying that he's paying, that both of his lawyers are on contingency. I think he's only ever admitted that one of his attorneys was on contingency. So maybe Tabor was and Susser wasn't. And that's why he was starting to get frustrated. Maybe Susser is doing more work than we know of in the background.
I'll tell you another element of proof in my column.
Dang it.
Didn't he start a GoFundMe that made like $65 or something to pay for legal fees?
I think it was 45, but yes.
Well, excuse me. I was aiming high. But like, to pay for legal fees, what would that be for if his lawyers were working for free? So either he was blatantly robbing his fans or he has legal fees to pay for.
I believe, and I might remember this incorrectly, chat, you guys can correct me if I am wrong here. I believe that, was it VTL that said that he started that for John? I don't think that John actually started it. I think somebody else started it for him and told him, I started this for you. And I want to say Mammy started it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I don't remember it being framed in a way where John was like, I don't even need money. I thought he was more like, I don't care. I didn't even set it up. I don't care. I got no money.
And why would he be so upset at Dr. Steve?
Right.
Dang it, Mike. You might be right about this one. I don't like that.
Just try to bring the other side is all,
Get your stupid picket sign ready.
Yeah.
Drunk Engineer is coming in for $5. Thank you. The sheer amount of unmitigated sex appeal on my screen is awe-inspiring, but enough about Mike.
Thank you, baby.
I think I might be worse at reading super chats than Karl is. It's possible. Sorcerer for $2. Thank you. Kaylee is Ditka. I knew it. There has been a lot of speculation about who Ditka is lately.
That would be what a reveal that would be if it was you.
I don't want Stuttering John's phone number. I would never be Ditka.
It's a good point.
I wouldn't. No. No, thank you. Drunk Engineer for another $5. Serious question. If this gets dismissed due to John no showing or to the judge laughing as soon as he reads it, how does that affect the slap stuff? It will definitely impact the slap stuff. So if John doesn't show up, the court will be fully at their own discretion to determine how they feel about the slap stuff. So that will be based upon the arguments that Danny makes when there is no appearance by the plaintiff.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Where it's like they can kind of prove, he never cared about this.
He never cared about this. And I think that they have so much evidence already about the anti-slap stuff. I think that there is so much great evidence that Danny lays out in all of his cross motions and his his motion to dismiss. He lays it out really perfectly. He says, this is what happened. This is why it is clearly trying to silence the defendants. And since then, we've even seen more about that. We've seen John striking Shuli repeatedly. We've seen John doxing people repeatedly. We've seen John's attorney saying, I'm willing to settle this as long as Karl and Shuli never talk about me again. No money. I don't need money. I just don't want them talking about me. It is exactly about silencing people. And so we've only gotten more and more of that. So if Danny were to argue that in front of a judge, and John had no legal representation during that argument, I think that the judge would be very, very likely to side with Karl and Shuli.
Interesting.
So that would be cool as well.
Okay.
I'm virile, I'm horny, and I'm cool for $2. I don't like saying it myself, although I do really like the song. Have you heard the I think it's Unknown Artist that did the song?
No.
It's like an amazing song. Oh, you have to hear it. It's so good.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it on my board. Otherwise, I would play it right now. John basically admitted that Ditka is VTL. I have not heard that. I will have to go find that after this this year episode. That would make sense.
Interesting.
Wade Garrett coming in for $10. Just curious, how did Shuli and Karl find Danny? They definitely made the right decision there. Also, SJ has a Mac, so he gets texts on his PC when his phone is off. Great show, Lucy Typebox World Order.
Wouldn't he still get a text from his lawyer?
I would think that he would have texts from Ditka and his lawyer, but whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe the lawyers don't give him their phone numbers all either because they know what's going to happen if they do.
Yeah, we'll get to you on a need to know basis, John.
Yeah. I don't know how Karl and Shuli found Danny. I know that I agree. They made the right decision. They found an incredible attorney, and they found an attorney who seems to understand what's actually happening in the Dabbleverse, which is an extreme rarity. What are the odds? What are the odds? It's amazing. He's amazing. Big fan. Antonino, 34 for $2. The big celebrity is drinking from a broken mug. He was drinking from a broken mug. Mike, you did not get to see that, but his mug was broken. Also, I believe he says that it's green tea again because he's still trying to impress Miss Judy.
Of course. Yeah, that's very impressive.
Very impressive.
I drink something from your people. You know, isn't that something?
Oh, no. Oh, God. Ugh. Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast coming in for $5. I've scooped smarter things than SJ out of my fish tank.
Oh.
If I had a fish tank, I would agree with you. Florida 49er fan for $5. Lucy, are you going to be on TSN tonight for Lucy and Lenny Thursday? I am. I will be on TSN tonight at 8 p.m. I can't wait to go and hang out over there. Everybody, don't forget to go support Shuli over on TSN, the Shuli Network. And don't forget to support Karl on Who Are These Podcasts. And in addition to that, you can also go to fightthedabbler.com if you want to support them more. I really, truly believe that they are being sued for a horrible reason. And I think that they deserve all of our support because no matter what we can do financially for them, that does not account for all the hours of sleep that they might be losing right now. So yeah, go support them, make them feel good. They deserve all of that. Sorcerer Gypsy coming in for $2. I can't get a free place to stay in Rochester for John. That's a good one. I didn't think about this. I love the idea of John trying to get a comedy promoter to drive him to Rochester in order to go to court dates. I want him to live stream that drive.
Yeah, whose couch is he going to stay on when he's there?
Not mine.
You don't want to invite him?
No. I volunteer Vinny, actually, because again, I think that would be really funny. Or Trucker Andy. Maybe they can become besties.
Moonhead, I'm coming over. I'm staying on your couch. I think Vinny would do like, Vinny's a nice guy. Go, all right, John, fine.
Vinny is a nice guy, but there is a limit to what any one human can withstand. And I think that limit might be John rubbing his hemorrhoids all over your couch.
Just for the experience. You got to see what it'd be like as a house guest.
All right, we have a new couch for DabbleCon 3 is what I'm hearing. Gross. Rye God coming in for $5. Kaylee, I wrote for GTA 4 and I currently work for a big studio. I live in New York. Can we go out and eat dinner? Ooh. I don't know. Is it Manhattan or Rochester?
Which are you licensed in?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where is your license for GTA 4 write-in? Wookie 76 for $2. I never knew how sexy Taco Bell was. I'm currently wearing my Taco Bell sweatpants, actually, because I'm a fancy lady and I love Taco Bell. I've only eaten Taco Bell like 3 times this week. It's quite impressive.
Pretty good.
Sean, the producer, $5. I think John's lawyers never took this seriously because they weren't being paid, and now they've given up on the case and on John. I do think there's a lot of evidence to support that. I do.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's how lawyers behave, but it does feel like what's going on, you know?
You know, there's different bad things that can happen to attorneys. Attorneys, if they do sort of bad work, they can get a bad Yelp review. If they do really bad work, they can get sanctioned, and that can impact their license. That can make them pay fines. That can do a lot of really bad things for them. If these guys don't care about a bad Yelp review, maybe they don't care.
Well, you better believe their client is going to make sure they're sanctioned if he has anything to say about it.
It's true. Tony Baloney for $5. Damn it, I'm late. Stupid work. Nice variety tonight. Get a smart show first and then Meatheads on TSN later tonight. Maybe SJ can crash with Karl FSJ. All right, Karl and Jenny, you guys are letting SJ sleep on your couch. That's what I'm hearing.
They could all drive in together. That'd be cute.
No, I don't. Can you imagine if the plaintiff and the defendant show up at court together? They're all going through the security line. They like have to do like the "Do I have any guns on me" or anything all together. They're like,
Karl, you owe
John
me
pulls 2 pennies out of his pocket before they go through the metal detector. Pav and Matthew for $5. You're both killing it. Can't get enough of 640 LSAT head legs.
Ooh.
Gold star. Eugene Oster Miller for $5. Danny Savalas is a huge Stern fan. Been on the wrap-up show dozens of times. Guessing that's how they found him. Yes, I do think that. Yes. So Danny definitely has. I believe he even represented somebody else who was related to Stern at some point that I don't remember entirely. Thank you for that reminder, though. Yeah, it is. It is. It is all coming together, sort of, except for John. So let's talk about what's next in this lawsuit. So what is going to happen now that this has been transferred to Monroe? We are going to wrap it up with talking about literally the next steps, what we can expect for Karl, what we can expect for Shuli, what we can expect for John. The next thing that is going to happen is a judge is going to be assigned. In the same way that we had to wait a little bit for Judge Cohen to be assigned when we were in Manhattan, we're going to have to wait a little bit for a judge to be assigned in Rochester, in Monroe County. Okay. It'll probably take, I don't know, a couple of weeks for this transfer to happen and for a judge to actually get assigned. But I do think that after that happens, the wheels of justice are going to spin very rapidly. I think that the court is going to look at the motion to dismiss first. Part of that motion to dismiss includes the anti-SLAPP stuff, which means that the first things that the judge is going to be looking at are going to be the get rid of this case and also give Karl and Shuli their money back from wasting their time on it.
Okay.
Again, I think... Go ahead.
That's a very interesting part of this that I kind of forget about sometimes. That John, like, I hear that term a lot, the anti-SLAPP motion. It doesn't really register to me that John would have to pay them back all the money they've wasted.
There's a lot of question about, I mean, can he even do that? No, is the answer to that question. What's he gonna? He's gonna give them his boat that he doesn't own? I don't know.
Good thing he sold it.
Yeah, exactly. He is going to have to, so we are going to have to be able to see that motion before we see anything else. That motion puts a stop on everything else before we hear that motion. Now, John's side has actually made a cross motion to the motion to dismiss, which is where they are requesting to add Kate Meany into this action. So we are going to get decisions on, is this case actually going to continue at all? Is Kate Meany going to get added to it? All of these things we are going to get the answers to, and that will be the next set of answers that we get. It'll probably take a few months, but it's going to take a lot less time than it would have taken in Manhattan. So I think we can all sit back, relax a little bit, get excited, and everybody can come and hang out in Rochester with me and with Karl and Shuli and maybe Shuli. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he'll come here. With Karl, Jenny, Chris, Andy, John will probably come. Who even knows? One of his attorneys. Maybe I'll finally get to meet Tabber.
Yes, all the stars will be out.
I want to meet Tabber. I actually really do. And the love of his life, Natalie. I think that would be wonderful. Yeah, it's gonna be a very, very exciting time. And again, I think that we are going to get to see things happening in rapid fire over the next couple of months. So it might be a little bit until we get our next update, but when that update happens, it is going to be a really, really, really big one. Yes.
Awesome.
Mike, we are going to get closing up for the night. We do have a few more super chats, but I would love it before we hit those if you would let everybody know where they can find you.
Blindmike.net is where all my links are. Like I said, I'm live every Sunday at 10 a.m. if you want to check that out. And Why You Laughing comes out every Thursday wherever you get podcasts. Every Wednesday night on YouTube it premieres. So check both those podcasts out. And of course, Who Are These Socials that I do? I just got done doing with Karl every Thursday afternoon.
You must be so relieved to not have to talk to Karl anymore and just be able to talk about him.
You mean when I'm done
Great
with the
night
show?
for you.
Yeah. It's a nice relief after that.
What a wonderful time. All of Mike's links are also down in the description below. Go check them out. Don't forget to follow and subscribe over there. Again, tonight I will be over on TSN. You can also meet me live in Las Vegas, April 10th through the 12th for Hackamania, hackamania.com. And you can use promo code Kaylee for 10% off of your tickets, which is very exciting. All right, let's check these out here. We got Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast coming in for $5. I wonder if SJ will start searching trash bins to try to find his old cushions to sleep on for the trial. It is true. They did get thrown back out here. So they are in a landfill somewhere in Rochester. And Sorcerer Gypsy coming in to close us out for the night for $5. Here's the thing. If SJ started live streaming, rented an SUV, and streamed a Muppets movie style road trip to Rochester, he would clear 5 figures. No, I think we all know that that's really what we want of him. I want to see him singing Moving Right Along in a RV.
That would be great. Yeah, if John had any sense, that is what he'd be doing.
We would definitely enjoy that, John. Take that as a note. Enjoy the fact that you may or may not have to come to Rochester to hang out with all of your best friends. And Blind Mike, again, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. I can't wait to give you guys the next update because, again, it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a real, real big one. So we will see y'all soon. And yeah, that's the words I'm going to say right now.